Good morning, good morning, good morning, everyone. Hope you had a wonderful evening last night. So we have a lot to cover today, so we're just gonna dive right into it. We are working on the Boston Massacre today. So, if you remember, previously we've talked about the Stamp Act and the Townshend Acts, where the citizens of Massachusetts and the colonies were really upset with the King of England because he had done all these unnecessary attacks. So they were really upset, right? So we know that he sent British soldiers and they are stationed in Massachusetts now, and we're going to kind of find out what happened now that these colonists are really upset. All right, so our learning standards for this lesson. We will examine historical materials relating to a particular theme, this one being the Boston Massacre. We're going to analyze the change over time and make logical inferences that concern cause and effect. So we're going to see what the cause and the effect of this situation were. We are going to examine historical documents and artifacts and analyze them in terms of credibility. This is going to be a big one. I'll explain it in a little bit. As well as their purpose, perspective, and point of view for which they were constructed. Point of view, major one this time around. We will also compare different historical descriptions of the same, technically not a society this time, it's going to be an event, and examine the choice of questions and use of sources and how they affect their conclusion. And our essential question, what really happened on the night of March 5th, 1770? And who do you believe is guilty of causing the Boston Massacre? Oops. All right, so to start off our lesson, we are going to fill out a KWL chart. I want to know what you might already know about the Boston Massacre, what you want to know, and what you have already learned. So at this time, students will go ahead and we'll do one single section at a time. I'll ask students what they want to know, or what they already know about the Boston Massacre. General points in the past have been that a lot of people died, that it was very bloody, that it was between the British and the colonists. Well, I'll also ask what they want to know. This generally involves questions like how many people died, what really happened, what caused it, and then at the end of the lesson, we will fill in what they have learned. All right, so I am going to go ahead and hand out two readings. I want you to join in groups of two. You already know who your partners are for the class. You're going to read both passages. The first is from Captain Preston, who is the leader of the British troops in Boston the night of the massacre, and one from a colonist who was a witness to the events that occurred in the town square that night. So I want you to go ahead and break into groups. I'm going to give you about 15 minutes to read through both passages. There are highlighters that are at the front of the room. If you want to go ahead and grab a highlighter to highlight important information, I would recommend that. And we will go ahead and reconvene as a full class in about 15 minutes. While you're reading, I want you to go ahead and begin to fill in a discussion guide as well. I'll just demonstrate the discussion guide before we get started. So we've used this discussion guide before, but I'll go ahead and reiterate to you. I'm going to write on the board the following question, and I want you to fill it in under question in your discussion guide. So, in the middle of the web, I want you to put the soldiers involved in the Boston Massacre. Were the soldiers involved in the Boston Massacre guilty or innocent of manslaughter. So as you go through and read the two passages and highlight your important information, I want you to keep this question in mind. Were the British soldiers guilty or innocent? After you finish reading and highlighting all of your information, I want you to go back, reread your passages for a second time, and fill in your reasoning for yes and your reasoning for no. You're going to fill in both sides of the discussion web, okay? So you're going to find 4 reasons for yes and 4 reasons for no and fill those in. I will give you about 10 minutes, 10 to 15 minutes after you've finished reading your passages for the first time to go back and complete the guide. So I'm going to go ahead and put 15 minutes on the timer for your reading, and then when when each group finishes, we're going to add about 10 to 15 minutes extra to complete the web. If we finish early, then we'll move on to the next section. All right, so everybody's completed their readings and filled in their discussion guide. So I want you to go ahead, I want you and your partner to get together with another group and discuss the points on whether you believe the British soldiers are guilty or innocent. We're going to take about 15 minutes to go ahead and complete our discussion. I'm going to put 15 minutes on the board now. After 15 minutes pass, we'll move on to the next section. So after our multi-group discussions, I'm going to put 2 signs on either side of the room, one that says guilty and one that says innocent. So there are 2 signs on either side of the room, one that says guilty and one that says innocent. On the left side of the room is the guilty side. On the right side of the room is the innocent side. I want you to decide whether you believe that the British soldiers are innocent or guilty. After you've come up with that decision, I want you to move to the side of the room that reflects your opinion. So at this point, everybody would take a few minutes, think about their answer, and then move to either side of the room. All right, everybody can go ahead and move back to their seat. We are going to go ahead and have an open floor debate for the last 15 minutes of class. Now, we've done open floor debates in the past, but I'm going to review our rules. Only one person can speak at a time. You allow your fellow classmates to speak their whole idea before responding. Back your opinion up with facts from the reading. If we cannot follow these rules, and we have multiple people speaking at one time, we'll have to continue our debate by raising our hands and waiting to be called on. Additionally, and most importantly, you are to respect all opinions and your classmates. So the way our open floor debate is going to work, we are going to debate whether you believe the British are innocent or guilty. I will go ahead and start off the debate with John. John, you can go ahead and decide whether you believe the British are innocent or guilty and give me one reasoning why. At this point, we will have an open floor debate for the last 15 minutes. After the 15 minutes are up, we'll close the debate with the last person to speak, and we'll finish filling in our KWL chart with our L of what did they learn. And that is the end of my lesson.